Consequently, many prods that were playing around with the 3D gaming idea were either cancelled as they were with Star Fox 2 or rushed as it was with Yokion's unfinished Virtual Boy. On a side note, Yokion was blamed for the Virtual Boy's failure, which led to his departure from Nintendo. It wasn't until his unfortunate death and the advent of the internet that the Virtual Boy became a very invaluable item to this day. While Nintendo never disclosed the official reason for its cancellation of Star Fox 2 and the rest of the original Star Fox team, Nintendo's artists and designers expanded Star Fox in a full 3D shooting game. The reason for its non-release was the impending Nintendo 64, which of course was intended to be released sooner than it actually was. Miyamoto-san decided that we wanted to have a clean break between 3D games on the Super Nintendo and 3D games on the new superior 64-bit system. In retrospect, he could have released Star Fox 2 and there would have been over a year and a half before N64 came out. Miyamoto was already conceiving of ideas about a 3D Mario game using the FX chip after he saw the success of Star Fox on the Super Nintendo. Mario's first rendition into 3D-like graphics came with the release of Super Mario RPG Legend of the 7 Stars, which was co-produced with Square Enix. He also departed from the sprite drawings of Super Mario's 2D games like Super Mario World. It played much like a cross between a Mario game and a Final Fantasy game. The graphics were similar to the pre-rendered 3D graphics of Donkey Kong Country, which was made by European Rare and not Miyamoto. But it wasn't until Super Mario 64 on the Nintendo 64 that Mario was fully realized in the 3D world. Miyamoto-san himself says, "One of the major reasons I wanted to develop for the Nintendo 64 is that it makes it possible to draw precise, realistic 3D images and scenes. The video world will not expand without accurate graphics and scenes. For that reason, we will use polygons more in design games. Quality per pixels of picture were very high, so even 2D games look totally different. Pictures can be reduced or enlarged without any problems. Development of Super Famicom games Super Nintendo depended on the specs of the hardware. We needed to know how many sprites were possible on the hardware. On the other hand, it made it easy to create a game on Nintendo 64, but in the Nintendo 64 hardware, a designer can create whatever he wants without worrying about sprites yourselves. Unlike programming for the Super Nintendo, you don't have to consider the specs of the hardware when making 2D games for the N64. Designing games will depend on what the programmers do. They can use the N64 to do whatever they want, such as morphing. The N64 is really an interesting and exciting machine. Mario in the 3D realm is now able to perform unique feats while exploring different worlds. Super Mario 64 was regarded as one of the most revolutionary platforming games to this very day. Miyamoto Classic Games later made the transition to the 3D realm, including Star Fox 64. Many of the ideas that were left in Star Fox 2, such as all-range mode, the Star Wolf theme, and different vehicles were reintroduced here. Star Fox 64 also had a unique combo pack feature that was placed within the control of the N64 that made people feel like they were in the game. This has become a standard in most controllers in the present day. Mario would go on to other 3D games including Mario Kart 64, Mario Party, Mario Golf and Tennis, even All-Star Smash Bros. That Miyamoto was not fully involved in. Other N64 games that Miyamoto was involved in include Wave Race 64, 1080 Snowboarding, F-Zero X, but one of the most famous 3D translations from Miyamoto's gallery came from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
You seem to like The Legend of Zelda, don't you?
The game received wide acclaim and its commercial success. It won the grand prize in the Interactive Arts Division at the Japanese Media Art Festival and won 6 honors at the 2nd Annual Interactive Achievement Awards. Despite a late November 1998 release, it was the best-selling game of that year. It has sold over 7.6 million copies. Motion capture was used for Link's actions. The game also had a very impressive character expressions. Hyrule was much deeper, had a much wider scope, and reflected Miyamoto's childhood experience in Kyoto. The game also had cinematic feel to reflect the epic storyline. The game was followed up by Majora's Mask with improved graphics and a much darker storyline. The game also features an interesting 3D system that is reminiscent of the Groundhog's Day movie. The next generation of Miyamoto's venture into the 3D realm continued with Project Dolphin, aka GameCube, with a much powerful CD-based game system. Miyamoto's characters were now better rendered and have full motion sequences that were lacking on the N64 cartridge-based system. It was also the first time that Mario didn't appear first on Nintendo debut. Miyamoto states, "Now that we were working on three-dimensional machines, it is very convenient for us to simulate the actual three-dimensional world." Having said that, however, three-dimensional systems where so far have been working have had the same problems. That means that we creators put much effort into realism of the 3D engine itself. With the GameCube, it's become very easy. As if you were making two-dimensional games, we can make three-dimensional games utilizing the GameCube's performance. So we now have the field set up for the three-dimensional environment. The remaining point is that what we should do with the creative side. On the other hand, we creators should now give the opportunity to feel freely to make our dreams come true. So I'm looking forward to making great games. The first game that was released for GameCube was Luigi's Mansion, that stars Mario's brother Luigi in a very fun, cartoony, haunted house. The classical Nintendo gallery made its GameCube renditions as well, such as Wave Race Blue Storm, F-Zero GX, Mario Kart Double Dash, Super Smash Bros. Melee,
Oh, so you've played Super Smash Bros. Melee before?